From now on, I want you to use the soundboard during this show. I want you to use the dragon voice. I want you to find 3 places to use the dragon voice in this episode of the show. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Kanata. Hello, concerned citizens. Can I tell you something? Seamless. Seamless. It did not seem like you were hunting for that at all. It's like one moment Jeff was there, and the next moment the dragon was there.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
That's why I'm the best at this.
If you want to see more of those seamless dragon voice transitions, go watch The Dungeon Run Wednesday evenings on twitch.tv/The Dungeon Run.
Thank you, Anthony.
Jeff.
Yes.
1 or 2.
Ooh, I think I did 1 last time, didn't I? I'm going to go 2 this time.
I don't remember, but go with your heart. Okay, 2?
Yeah.
All right, 2's a good one. Shoot, but I will have to just double check one thing.
Seamless, like you said.
Seamless.
We're really knocking this intro out of the park.
Baby, let me tell you something. This is all seamless all the time.
Do you want me to entertain the people with some more dragon voice?
Yeah, do some dragon voice. Perfect. Yeah, absolutely perfect.
Well.
There it is. This one was sent in. You know what it is I hate to not have the person's name right in front of me, and I don't know where I put it. Because when you concerned citizens put these stories in that we use for the show, I definitely want to give you a shout out. And this one was sent in by Z Mansfield, who is who's a big boy suggester now.
Love it.
Z Mansfield is sending in a lot of suggestions lately.
I've been noticing a lot of new names in the Discord of the top tier suggesters. You know, we had the usual folks for the longest time, but I've been noticing a new batch.
It's good to see new blood. It's good to see some good new concerned citizens come in. If you want to join that Discord, of course, patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. You can do that for just $1 a month. But Z Mansfield sent in this story, and Jeff, there are a few things that we love on this show. And one of them is science as supervillainy.
Ooh. Yeah.
This is science that is meaning to do science, but sounds like a supervillain-esque plan.
We're talking secret lairs inside volcanoes. We're talking blow up the sun. We're talking
giant fans pointed at the Arctic.
Yeah, baby.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're talking facial recognition.
Yeah. I love it. What do we got this week? What's on the docket for super villainy now?
Well, this one comes from Sweden, which you wouldn't think at first as supervillain. Sweden, I feel like, is, Scandinavian. You think about that good socialism. You think about geothermal heat. You think about everybody hanging out. You think about.
But I feel like there's some Bond villains from Sweden. You know what I mean?
They are very caffeinated, and they do love intense tattoos.
There you go.
So
that's all you need. That's only 2 elements you need.
So they have some cool, like, villain accoutrement for sure.
Yeah.
But this one is the Swedish Space Corporation.
Tongue twister.
Had to cancel a flight this week that they had been planning for a very long time. Do you want to know what this flight was supposed to do? Can you guess?
They had to cancel a flight that was going to bring their robot army to the rest of Europe.
Sure. That's a good one. This was a flight that was part of research to better understand an aspect of fighting climate change. And surprisingly,
that doesn't sound like villainy. That sounds like heroism.
Right? And yet there was a huge outcry against this flight, Jeff. Seems weird, right?
Yeah. Are we flying? What are we flying? Why would we be flying to fight climate change? Are we flying up into the ozone?
Where are we dropping, boys?
Yeah, are we dropping stuff out of this plane? Are we throwing things into the atmosphere? What are we doing?
Well, this is part of a long-term experiment, an experiment that's been planned for a long time and was going to be very long-term, called ScopeX. That was
ScopeX,
a kind of an experiment that was done by Harvard University scientists and the Swedish Space Corporation, which I'm going to be able to say so easily every time. Hey, Swedish Space Corporation, fuck you.
I think that they just pronounce it.
Wow. You couldn't call yourselves the Space Corporation of Sweden or something like that?
Yeah. No, they're doing that just to fuck with you.
The Swedish Aerospace Corporation, just put something in between. This is how you know they're villains to begin with. But this was a flight that was going to launch a high altitude balloon from an SSC facility in the Arctic.
Very few things that involve high altitude balloons are not villainous. You know?
Yeah. Hey, what about that? What about the balloons that were supposed to bring decentralized internet to Africa?
Villainous.
Well, I left out that it was run by Google.
Run by Google. Yeah.
Run by Google.
We're going to give you all free internet so we can take all your information.
We're just gonna track everything. We just want you to be used to being tracked. It's free.
Look up into the sky. Look up into the sky. What do you see? Do you see that little reflection? Yeah, that's us looking at you all the time. We're always there. We're always just above you.
So the deal with this is this balloon was going to go up into space as part of research to better understand the idea of blocking the sun to fight climate change.
Oh, I have heard about this. Yeah, this is there's a name for this. Global there's a name for the idea. There's like this whole concept of hey,
it's called Burnsian. It's called Burnsian science.
Burnsian science, yeah. Named after Mr. Burns.
Named after Montgomery Burns, who first tried it.
The idea here is that we are so far down the road of stopping greenhouse gases, and we've lost that war. So the only other thing we can do at this point is to literally prevent the sun from heating our planet, to literally reflect the sun's rays away from the planet on a massive global scale. So the idea is for ScopeX is eventually it will inject substances into the air to reflect some of the sun's rays back into space and reduce global warming relatively quickly, pretty quickly. It's the I'm rubber, you're glue approach.
It's the I'm rubber, you're glue, nanoparticles in the air. And the huge outrage came, of course, from the people of Sweden and a lot of other environmental bodies that are like, hey, you're doing some last ditch stuff. And what people are afraid of is basically you're bringing the mongoose to kill the snakes. You know what I mean?
Right. And also the idea
there are too many snakes in Australia, and so we're bringing the mongoose in to kill the snakes, and whoops, all mongoose.
Now we have a mongoose problem.
Yeah, and so it's like,
isn't also the issue that they think like, okay, well, if the message we're sending to people is we got this in a different way, then everybody's like, well, fuck it. What do we care about this whole greenhouse gases issue? Right?
I don't know.
We got a backup plan.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a thing. Like we should always be working towards reducing emissions, but I think people who don't care about reducing emissions are always going to not care about reducing emissions. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's a thing where it's like, hey, if we do this, we can reverse it temporarily, but that just buys us time.
Right.
Look, the people who are going to listen are going to listen. The people who aren't, you know?
Right.
It's like there was a guy in a bike shop once. I remember I used to go to Dixon's Bike Shop in Brooklyn, New York. And if you're ever in Park Slope, Brooklyn, and you need a bicycle or you need a bicycle fixed, go to Dixon's. They've been family owned for like 70 years and they're dope as hell.
And we appreciate their sponsorship on this episode.
Appreciate their sponsorship on this episode. They bought Jeff the Dragon voice box. Thanks to Dixon's. There you go. That's two. So I was standing and waiting to get my bike tuned up. And there was this guy who was new to cycling in the city and was asking a lot of questions. And one of the questions he asked, and he asked this seriously, was, I heard if you wear a helmet, cars are actually more likely to bump into you because they know you have your helmet, so they're not trying to avoid you as much. And I was like, my jaw dropped. But like, in a backwards ass way, I understand what he's saying. In a world where people can see cyclists and they have to, he's thinking of everything as the trolley problem. He's thinking in a world where I see cyclists and I have to get my car out of the way of something. If I see a cyclist with a helmet and a cyclist without a helmet, maybe I'll try to run into the cyclist with the helmet. But like, like, what a weird thing. Why don't you just wear your helmet and hope that cars are trying not to hit cyclists? Because nobody wants to hit a cyclist, and nobody is hitting a cyclist because they saw that cyclist didn't have a helmet.
If I look more vulnerable, they'll look out for my safety more, is the corollary here.
That's what they're saying. You put a baby on board sticker on the back of your car, and now nobody's going to hit your car. Hey, motherfucker, no one wants to hit a car.
Right. Yeah.
The baby on board is really not going to do anything.
Yeah. Well, so that's not why people put baby on board on their car, but yes.
Some people, why do people do the baby on board? So you
so that like, if they do
so you can go into the grocery store and not crack your windows.
No.
And people will check.
And so if you do get in an accident, the first responders know that there is a baby there, then they should
and go to that car first.
Yeah, there's information about the contents of the car, I think is the idea.
I don't know, man. It seems to me like people put that on because they're like, watch out for me. I got baby.
Well, maybe also, maybe you stop tailgating me. There's a baby on board. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe that's
I think you're probably right, but I have a feeling that some people do the way I'm thinking too, which is stupid. But I think some people do. But what we're getting at?
That's why on my car I have a full wrap sticker that says "full of old people, puppies, and
babies,
and very delicate glass china."
And lawyers. But all this to say, I don't think we need to worry that if we do something that's going to fix the environment, people are going to go, woohoo, now we don't have to worry about the environment. That's an asshole-ish thing, and we can't really plan for that because then we're going to never do anything to fix the environment.
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, but I think the idea is that there's certain things that are way more important to do to fix the environment. Like the reflect the sun's rays back at the sun idea seems like an attacking the symptom, not the problem.
Yes, and you're correct. But also we don't know what these nanoparticles are going to do. We say that they're safe, but we think everything is safe when we do it. That's why we do it.
The mongooses seem real safe, much better than the snakes.
Yeah, listen, snakes was doing bitings. You know?
Yeah.
Snakes was doing a bitings.
Mongoose can't be as bad as snake. Let's just throw thousands of mongoose in there.
Oh no, bird disappear. Why bird disappear? Oh, a mongoose eat an egg? Ooh, okay, well what eat a mongoose? And this and this is where we get into, and people from Scopex and from the SSC are saying, hey, we understand. That's why we're sending the balloon up. The balloon is just experiment one.
Yeah, we got to test.
Yeah, the balloon is supposed to go up. It's not going to be injecting any particles. It's going to be taking readings, and basically to get the particles up into the sky and to spread them, the balloon has to create updrafts. So it has to it has to actually control air currents with fans and things like that. And so they're just going to
What's updraft?
Not much. What's up with you?
Yeah, nice.
So they want to see if that's even viable first. And they're like, hey, our whole thing is we're just going to see what's up. And Sweden was like, no, you're not, because fuck you, because we think this is a bad idea.
So do you think, part of me feels sympathy for the folks that are saying this is potentially a terrible plan, and we should... And I mean, my recollection is that they're also concerned about the ramifications for really economically troubled parts of the world that'll get much more the fallout of the potential of this plan. And that, all these economically wealthy nations will be pumping these reflections back at the sun, and the nations that really have no ability to speak up or have a voice for themselves will get the fallout of all of the stuff that's happening. That's my recollection of it. But
okay.
So I have some sympathy for the people that are saying this is a bad plan. There are bad things about this plan. This is like the mongoose. We don't know what what hell we will rot upon the planet by trying to do this. But there's another part of me that's like, maybe we need to think outside the box on some of these solutions so that my children aren't living in Mad Max.
Yeah, I see both sides for sure. Nobody wants to get to the point where we're doing the last ditch effort, but
right. But let's maybe make sure it's possible to have a last ditch effort.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that happened here is that this experiment was originally supposed to be launched from the American Southwest. We were supposed to launch it here. And something happened to the launch window and the ability to do it because of COVID-19 and weather patterns and all kinds of things. So at the last minute,
the balloon got COVID.
Yeah, the balloon got COVID and they were just going to launch it up into the air.
Oh, it's so unsafe.
It's so unsafe. No one's washed that balloon.
You got to wash the back of the balloon. No, everybody washes the front of the balloon. You got to wash the back of the balloon too.
You got to wash. What part of the balloon is the thumb of the balloon, do you think?
That little nubbin thing where you tie the balloon at the bottom. The little balloon.
So you're
nubbin.
picturing a birthday balloon.
Yeah, obviously that's what they look like, right?
Love this. Yes, absolutely, and never change is what I'm going to say to you. So this was supposed to launch this is a Harvard-led experiment. It was supposed to launch from the American Southwest. No, they cleared it 1 billion times over with every possible organization within the states that they had to. Sweden, when they moved it over to Sweden, was like, you're in a new country now, motherfucker, and we hate everything about this.
Yeah. We actually care about the environment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'd like you to quit fucking around and force corporations to stop polluting. How about that? We'd like you to stop fucking around and make a few more regulations in the states about emissions. How about that? How about you? How about y'all left the Paris Climate Accords for the last 4 years? So eat shit and do your environmental experiments somewhere else. I get all of that stuff.
I get it too. But there's also a part of me that wants to hope that we have some solutions, because I have very little hope that we're not already way past the point where anything will matter. Like we're dragging our feet so much. Our nation, other nations, Paris Climate Accord or not, I'm glad we rejoined it, but it feels like we're almost past the point of no return already. And I want to believe that maybe we should have other options. I don't know.
Of course. And they did say, Scopex said that, hey, we may potentially move this experiment back to the States and launch it again and continue our testing there. We don't want to make anybody angry, but we feel this is worth looking into. We feel this is worth trying. It's like the people who built the giant fans and they were like, blow the cool air back, blow it back at the glaciers. And it's like, how much electricity? Okay. I mean, I guess run your experiment and figure out whether this is doable. But if it's not doable, you got to stop. Yeah. But I think people should be running these. But the fact that people are running these bigger and bigger and weirder experiments in order to do this should be a wake-up call to all of us saying, hey, why we are clearly working around the fact that I buy a carbon offset every time I fly on a plane, which, it makes me feel better, but it doesn't really do anything. And I don't know. We got to start doing something at some point. When are we going to notice?
That's the problem.
We're sending balloons into space. Somebody please.
So are you on the page of let the scientists have their fun and see if it turns villainous? Or are you on the page of there's no way this isn't villainous, let's shut it down?
Certainly let them run the first test to even see if this is viable.
Yeah.
certainly let them run the first test to even see if this is viable. And then we'll go from there, you know?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it does feel like the farther down the road we get past the point of no return. I mean, I feel like every 5 years or so we get a new report saying we're past the point of no return. Oh, now we're super past the point of no return. And guess what? Now we're really super past the point of no return.
Well, they won't even do the doomsday clock in minutes anymore.
Yeah.
We're 100 seconds now, right? They're like, dude, please don't make us say it's 1 minute to midnight. Please. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, hopefully something, but I think we should do, I understand at the same time, the people of Sweden who are against this because we have not exhausted every other option. And while I do believe that all of these different tracks can be running in parallel, we certainly don't want the doomsday track to get farther than everybody else, because we're going to flip the easiest switch there is to flip. That's how human beings work.
Well, that's the problem, right? Is that there's a certain contingent out there that has been saying for literally decades, oh, don't worry about it. Somebody will come up with a solution. Right? We don't need to hurt businesses by making them conform to regulations. We don't need to change behaviors. We don't need to prevent people from buying or using certain types of products, because we have innovation on our side. When the problem becomes bad enough, someone will find a solution. And we have found the solution. The solution is to cut down emissions. Right. There ain't nobody doing that. The solution is
to put environmental protections in place.
Yeah. Invest in green. I mean, the Green New Deal is kind of an expression of how dire this situation is and what it might take.
Yeah. If we're too dependent on these old and busted and dirty systems, why don't we just put a little money into getting onto the clean new systems and create jobs so the people who, look, at this point, it's like 3 towns that are coal mining towns that are left that are like, you know what I mean? And they're just like, they're paraded around the news like they account for 50% of the population. They don't. They don't. These are these small towns, and I want them to be able to work. Train them to do something else. Right. Pay the money. Let's go.
The mentality is that there will be this Deus ex machina, and I think this is the kind of experimentation that is trying to find the Deus ex machina. Right? Is trying to find the savior tech that's going to reverse the problem or fix the problem.
Sure. Until 40 years after we do this nanoparticle seeding and we wind up living in some sort of like
nanoshell, the Earth's nanoshell. Yeah.
EMP-esque nuclear winter. You know what I mean? It's like, oops, we blocked too much sun and we can't get the particles out of the air.
Yeah. There are large swaths of the planet that are perfectly livable and have escaped the doom of greenhouse gases and global climate change. And then there are other swaths of the planet that are Mad Maxian and destroyed. And it's like, well, can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
And surprisingly, all of the places that are not hurt by the nanoparticle shell are real estate that's owned by Greystar and Vornado Industries.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And everybody else. Yeah. The places that have succumbed to the bleak nuclear winter are the poorest countries, and this is all science fiction, but also very, very easily imaginable. And that's the problem, is like, especially after the last year on this planet that we've all lived through, science fiction doesn't seem so far-fetched anymore. You know, the crazy fantasy world where everyone's wearing masks and walking around all the time, we lived it. So it doesn't feel like these flights of fancy are quite so flighty anymore.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's, I hate how dystopian everything is getting more and more every year. But, you know, that's all I got. That's actually all I got.
Well,
hey, if you want to hang out with other doomsday preppers, and talk and talk about stuff that isn't doomsday, and just generally sort of distract yourself with cool folks. A great place to do is on our Discord. If you want to join that, you need to head to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. And not only can you join our Discord, where we've got a gaming server, we've got, hey, after a story like we just told, do you want to know that we have a channel in the Discord that's all about like just good pictures of people's pets? Because maybe you do.
Just relax your nerves. Look at some adorbs pics, you know?
We have a community-run Valheim server that just started up. So like maybe you want to pretend that we haven't destroyed the environment yet and you're a Viking and you're just building a village in the middle of nowhere.
You can save that world.
Isn't that nice? World. But if you want to join that, it's just $1 a month to join the Discord, and you are directly supporting the show, supporting me and Jeff. And as you give a little bit more money, you will see that you can get more in exchange, including bonus episodes, early episodes, bonus audio. And starting this week, you know how I keep asking Jeff number 1 or number 2? I'm gonna clue patrons into what the unchose story was.
Oh, all right, that's cool. I did that.
Tell them a little bit about what it was. So hit up
Earth
the Patreon,
B, the alternate universe where we did that story. They can imagine it for themselves.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a goatee on and be Mirror Universe Anthony talking about the other story. So go check that out. Patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.
Well, Anthony, we are in dire need of some hope this week. You know, we went down a dark rabbit hole in that last story. So I want to provide a little bit of hope with my story this week. This comes to us from Jeff _Rose on the Discord. And this is a story.
An all-star, if ever there was one.
Yeah, for sure. This is a story that I think is just packed full of hope. And in a lot of the same category that we were already talking about. What if I told you that there is a company, a new startup, that has promised that within the next 2 years, they will unveil a battery that can last for 28,000 years. A battery that can produce electricity, can actually help the environment, and last for 28,000 years.
That's huge. One of the biggest issues that we have right now for all technology going forward is battery storage and the life cycle of batteries.
Indeed. And also battery disposal is a big deal. It's not great for the environment that you know, even electric cars, as nice as they are on one end of the global climate change problem, the bad end is that they're going to be dumping lots of batteries into the environment over the long term. So if we had batteries that could last multiple human lifetimes, many human lifetimes, thousands of years, where you literally could pluck a battery out of one thing and put it into another thing, and the battery lasts longer than the device, how cool would that be?
That'd be great. That'd be huge.
What if I told you, Anthony?
That would literally change everything.
What if I told you, Anthony, that in order to do that, this company is making batteries out of diamonds and nuclear waste?
I love it. I love it because, number one, we know from Batman and Robin that diamonds are a viable power source. We know that they are an absolutely amazing power source and that they run cool. That's one of the major things that we've learned from Batman and Robin. Number two, we ain't doing anything with that nuclear waste. It's sitting around being bad.
That's sitting around being bad. It can be good. We can put radioactive isotopes into our pockets, into our cars. They'll power things for thousands of years.
Now, I hate to bring it up, but I do see one small problem.
Yeah? What possible problem could there be from this plan?
Now, the nuclear waste is radioactive and will kill us.
See, now that's where the diamonds come in.
Tell me more.
The diamonds protect us.
Like Mr. Freeze.
Allow me to explain.
The diamonds protected Victor Freeze as well.
Indeed. This is by the way, the startup is called Freezy Industries. Did you know that Mr. Freeze
and it's just a picture of a snow cone? Like it's a Mr. Softy situation?
Yeah. But instead of ice in the snow cone, it's little diamonds.
Their branding is not strong.
No.
Like
not
you look
terrible.
at you do a focus group and you look at the logo and people say, "What do you think Mr. Freezy does?" And they go, "Oh, I'll take a Freezy Pop." And it's like, nope.
No. These are
Don't put that in
batteries.
your mouth. Don't put that in your mouth.
Really
That
don't
is a
want to put that
battery.
in your mouth. If you look in the fine print right under the delicious looking snow cone, it says, "Do not put this in your mouth."
Yeah. It's very fine print. So what do the diamonds do, Jeff?
So
how do they work?
Here's how this works. It's actually fascinating. So you may or may not know that there are a number of different ways to create a nuclear reactor. One of the most common is to cool the radioactive material with graphite.
Okay.
That's unfortunately how Chernobyl happened. There was a graphite fire. And
Whoops.
yeah. And I mean, it's much more complicated than that. But in the end, there was a graphite fire. And so the point I'm trying to make is that
In the end, isn't there always?
the point I'm trying to make is that we've been doing this for a long time. This is how nuclear energy, nuclear reactors are made. And sometimes many of the most common ones. But what the result is, the graphite cools the radioactive isotopes, and the material that is being cooled by the graphite and regulated by the graphite. And when the graphite fails, you have nuclear meltdowns like the Chernobyl disaster.
Okay.
But when it's successful, you end up with a bunch of unusable graphite that is also radioactive.
Can't even take a test with it.
No, you can't make number 2 pencils. You can't.
What about number 1? I mean, you could make a number 1 pencil, but you can't use that for
No, that
standardized
doesn't
tests.
work on any of the standardized tests. The bubbles, the machine won't read the bubbles.
That's a problem. It's big
then you're
problems.
screwed. Yeah. Even if you completely fill the bubble as per instructions, doesn't matter because you didn't use number 2. Yeah.
And then you never get into college.
And then what?
And then what?
And then what? No, so you get the radioactively contaminated graphite. So what this company is doing, by the way, the name of the company is Nano Diamond Battery, or NDB, which I keep reading as NBD, which is no big deal. Which I think is a much better name for the company. It's just called this.
It's not a big
Don't
deal.
worry about it. It's no big deal.
It's not. Don't worry about it. We're just fixing everything for you. It's not a big deal. It's
No
like a
big deal.
passive aggressive name.
Yeah, totally.
Oh,
Don't worry, pretty little
no.
head.
We're gonna fix the power issue. Don't worry. No,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
happy to do it.
Oh, you sad you have to buy new batteries? Don't worry your pretty little head. We got this
Happy
covered.
to do that for you.
Yeah. So what happens is they've got all this radioactively contaminated graphite. They take small amounts of that. They surround it with layers of nano diamonds, tiny, tiny little diamonds that protect the nuclear waste, actually to a point where they say there's less radioactivity that you can even sense from this thing than that's in the natural human body. Like we are more
Wow.
radioactive on a sensor than you would get by sensing this completed battery.
Plus, I would imagine, diamonds, one of the hardest substances, one of the strongest substances
Yeah.
on the planet. Certainly a better protection than graphite, I would imagine, for keeping the radiation away from you. And we can
Well-
make synthetic diamonds now.
We can. We've talked about that on the show a couple of times. And the other cool thing about diamonds is that these crystal diamonds can move heat away from the radioactive material so quickly that the transaction actually generates electricity. So this is even how the battery works. Like the energy is moved from the radioactive graphite to the diamond, is drawn to the diamond so fast that it creates electricity. And that process happens so slowly that the battery can last for thousands of years.
Wow.
So it's just sitting there creating electricity.
I love this.
Yes.
I love this. Let's
here
do this.
Here are the drawbacks. Right?
No, I don't want to hear them. I don't have time.
Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to
listen. I want balloons.
Drawbacks.
I want balloons in the air, and I want nuclear waste in the batteries, and I want it done by 3 p.m.
We're going to get our top men on that, Anthony. I'm telling you. But
thank you.
There's a few things you should be aware of.
Fine.
So right now, they're promising that they'll have their first like consumer-facing prototype in 2 years. They're saying you'll be able to buy a battery, or at least they'll have a prototype for a purchasable battery that a human being could just go into a store and buy that would last 28,000 years or close to that in 2 years, which is pretty amazing. But the problem is that right now, these battery cells only produce a very, very small amount of electricity. Okay. So you need like huge amounts of them to do anything.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I think the future lies in this tech, is figuring out how to increase the productivity, increase the output of these batteries so that you can have fewer of them, or smaller.
But this is every battery tech, man.
Right.
Every battery tech, they're just like, oh, yeah, no, this is super cool and clean and it works perfectly and it won't hurt anything. And you're like, oh, why? And it's like, because it's worthless. Like every battery
tech where it's all about increasing efficiency and increasing the output and having longer lasting.
Listen, if I don't, I'm not this. Don't worry. Like this, I'm not getting fat off of fast food. Why? Because I'm the fries. I'm not eating them. It's just
yeah.
It's a battery that doesn't do anything.
Well,
it's super clean and safe, and it doesn't do anything. What can we power with this battery right now? What's the size of the battery right now, and what can it power?
So the batteries are pretty small. Like I said, they use nano diamonds to house this thing. But the picture that is shown on their website, it looks almost like a microchip. It doesn't look like a battery. It looks like a chip, like a flat surface.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's actually how it's going to look when they have their consumer prototype. But they're talking about being able to, the entire bottom of my Tesla is a battery, basically. The entire bottom layer of the car. So at that size, if you put it in a vehicle, they think they'd be able to have a pretty efficient battery, because you'd have that much more surface area to work with. But if you're talking about putting it into a cell phone or, a bunny, some sort of bunny that has a drum.
Like a drumming bunny.
Like a drumming, with sunglasses. You know what I'm talking about? Like a bunny with sunglasses that's also got a big, like a marching band. Do you need the
sunglasses?
Drum.
Because the sunglasses add extra mass, and I worry that that will require more energy.
Yeah, but it's more of an attitude that it needs to add, so you can tell that the bunny just don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
He's got that drum.
Yeah, if we can't do this right, there's no reason to even do it. You're right.
I agree. Anyway, so either of those things, it would be difficult to put this kind of battery into now, but as they continue to refine this thing, perhaps they'll get more capacity in these things.
What's the power now, though? Can I run a Tamagotchi right now? What is this?
They're saying that it produces a very small amount of electricity right now for one battery. You have to pack.
They don't want to say.
No, it doesn't say exactly how much.
They don't want to say.
Is.
Hey, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Worthless battery. Doesn't do anything yet.
So here's what it can do right now. I found what it can do. It said you could do very low power applications like, say, a space probe that needs a very small amount of energy to propel it through space over an extremely long amount of time.
Great.
Or like keeping a small LED display lit. You don't need to say display after LED because it's in there. An LED.
Well, no, because that's light emitting diode.
You're right.
So you can say display.
I was thinking LCD.
Yeah.
So an LED display could theoretically be powered for 28,000 years with this thing. Small LED.
Okay. And how much do the batteries cost right now? Do they say?
No, they're not saying that. Like I said, 2 years before a consumer product, but I
can't imagine. Yeah, I can't imagine making a nano diamond.
Yeah,
it's still a synthetic diamond, and you can create synthetic diamonds for almost, but it's not. It's a process.
Yeah.
But again, that's cool.
The process of technology. Is it things get cheaper? You refine the manufacturing process. Things get cheaper.
And if they're thinking about something like a space probe, I mean, that's like, okay, well, those things are expensive anyway, and you want a battery that's going to last forever, so the thing doesn't run out of power at any time on you. And so, like, a government contract could pay for that. That's great.
And again, the idea here is they want this to be replacing your energizers. They want this to be the real money is in putting it in cell phones and shit, because that's going to make them billions. But so I think they want it to be a consumer product. They want this to be the new battery standard. So I think there's a lot of motivation to create that.
Okay. And it's not that I'm unsure of the diamond casing. I feel good about the diamond casing, but what I feel weird about is, like, now instead of throwing out batteries that are like your typical like nickel cadmium batteries or whatever it is that we're throwing out tiny bits of nuclear waste and diamonds that will never biodegrade.
But that's the thing.
But we're not throwing it out.
They're not throwing it out. That literally you would bequeath this to your descendants. It's like the battery will outlast everything that it's in. You'll make these things and you'll pluck them out of one. They'll be useful beyond the lifespan of the thing that they're powering.
Okay, I'm, say, the Canon camera company.
Okay.
And I'm making a new DSLR every year. And on a whim, I will change the shape of my battery pack.
Yeah.
Just to make you buy new batteries.
I mean, that's problematic.
Now, how do we get all of these consumer electronics companies on board with, oh no, you're going to sell one person, one battery forever? Because then I think what they're going to do is they're going to try to get to the point where they create more power hungry devices. So you got to buy another battery from them.
Well, also, if you're the company making these batteries, you don't want someone to buy something and then use it for 28,000 years. That's not good for your business model.
What's the value prop? Because this is a private company. And not, this is not a nonprofit, I'm assuming. So, you can use this for 28,000 years, but like, I sort of feel like it's like USB, where it's like every few years, it's like, no, this is the new connector, and it's the only one you'll ever need.
Yeah. Until we decided that one doesn't have enough throughput.
That one's dumb and bad. Yeah. This one better. Oh, okay. I mean, it is.
Very good point. And it is, you can't future-proof a battery for 28,000 years. But perhaps there are, enough of it where it would be like, send it back to us. We'll pluck out the radioactive material and the diamonds, and we'll repurpose those into the new battery.
Maybe. That would be interesting. Yeah, I'd like to see, because on the surface, this sounds like a very cool and very like there are no environmental downsides. The downsides that I see to this are all capitalistic.
Right. Well, there's actually some environmental upsides, in fact, because they are using radioactive graphite that is just being stored in the ground, unusable. Sure. So here is a way to actually kind of remove that as a problem ecologically,
Yeah. But then, like I said, if we're throwing out batteries and then they're encased in diamonds that don't biodegrade, then we're just putting the graphite back into the ground, but with more diamonds.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, and I'm not trying to be down on it, because I'm not down on it. I think this is very cool. I just think these are issues that they will have to address as they get closer to making this a consumer product.
Let me read the quote from the NDB website. No big deal.
Please do.
It says the stacks, along with the source, talking about the battery here, are coated, the stacks of radioactive material, along with the source, are coated with a layer of polycrystalline diamond, which is known for being the most thermally conductive material and also has the ability to contain the radiation within the device. It's also the hardest material, 12 times tougher than stainless steel. This makes our product extremely tough and tamper-proof. Which which is something that I didn't even really register. Is like, what if
I want to break into
put this
that
in
good
someone's
nuclear
phone?
waste.
What?
I want to break into that good nuclear waste.
Exactly. What if you put this in somebody's phone and they literally have nuclear waste in their pocket, and some douche on it with a YouTube channel wants to show you what he can do and just pops it open?
I mean, don't.
Hey,
everybody, don't.
That's why the fine print is beneath the snow cone. Don't put this in your mouth.
Don't put this in your mouth and don't pop it open. But I mean, that's the thing, right? Is the idea is if it's encased in a nano diamond, the average person wouldn't be able to get into it.
That's what they're claiming, is that you would need some serious tools to, some industrial.
I want to break it open just to see.
It would be the greatest heist we could ever do, stealing the diamonds from inside our own cell phones.
I think this is cool. This is definitely a technology to watch. I think battery technology, like we've talked about before, is like, it's on the surface, you're like, oh, battery technology, this is boring, but it's not. It's everything.
Yeah, it's everything.
It's every limitation we have right now.
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, this is talking about, electric cars that you would only have to charge once every 9 years. They're talking about a cell phone that you buy and you never have to plug it in. You never have to charge it.
Imagine
all kinds of things.
Endless
like
scrolling. Endless scrolling.
Can you imagine never having to stop scrolling?
Can you imagine the doom scrolling I could do if the doom never goes away?
If there's literally no battery symbol at the top of my phone, that's like an extra 1/8 of an inch to add more scroll.
Oh God, I'm going to ruin my mental health. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so efficient. But also I think about, you own a Tesla, and people who talk about like, people who have like some of the first Teslas, it's like, dude, when you got to replace the battery in a Tesla, it's like buying a new car.
It is. It's the most expensive part of the car. And it's also the part of the car that has a lifespan. It will, there is no doubt it will die. There will be a point at which it does not work. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. And that's one of the things, like when I was looking into maybe getting a new car this year, and then I was just like, I'm just going to keep driving mine until I have to drive it into the sea, because I don't care. And I haven't had to do a lot of driving this year, but, looking at used electric cars, people are always like, you got to be real careful with a used electric car because you never know what's going to happen to the battery. And if the battery goes out, you're paying for 2 cars.
Yeah.
And this would solve that. And this could solve, man, if we could have a plane that was powered, that was at least partially powered, more powered than they are now by battery technology, even getting rid of a fraction of the emissions from planes would do it'd be a huge benefit to us. The collective amount of energy that we would save if everybody had a cell phone that didn't need to be charged every night. Yeah. Collectively, that's huge.
It's massive. And I think it would just be the tip of the iceberg of the number of things that would not need to be charged. I mean, imagine the number of things that you plug into a wall that you just wouldn't have to if you had a battery that never went away. You could just put batteries in lamps and batteries in whatever. It doesn't matter.
Oh my God, wireless everything.
Wireless everything.
Dude, cable management.
Oh,
just trying to hide cables in my house.
Just add more nuclear waste in your house. That's the thing that's so crazy to me about this story.
Just put more nuclear waste there.
Yeah, that's the answer. That's what's so wild is that the thing, part of this tech is nuclear waste is really dangerous and messy to store. Here's a solution.
So am I.
Here's a solution that lets you just put it in everyone's pocket.
Boom.
The solution is we'll put it in everyone's pocket. Surround it with diamonds and put it in your pocket. How fucking cyberpunk is that shit?
It's so good. It's so good.
Well, surround it with diamonds and put it in your pocket rather than cluttering up Earth with it.
Listen, I know this is dangerous and it's the most dangerous substance known to man, but if it meant that I can put that really nice table or that really nice like lamp onto my like tiny side table and I wouldn't have to try to hide a cord, I would have
Wonderful.
I would have the cleanest looking living room. Oh my God, the aesthetics, Jeff.
Anthony,
I will die. I will die of radiation for these aesthetics.
Put speakers anywhere, Anthony. Put a speaker anywhere.
I want to.
You want a speaker there? Put it there.
I do.
You don't need to be near an outlet. It doesn't have to have an ugly cord. Run it. I mean, you want a speaker? Put a speaker.
More than anything. All I want are speakers everywhere. More than anything. I want to mount the surround sound speakers up above me because that's where they sound the best. But like,
Yes.
I don't want a cord.
No cords anymore. Just put radioactive material there.
Fine. Done.
Yeah.
Done. That's it. Done.
See, I told you this one had hope.
Never turn on the Switch to play Cat Mario and find out that you got to plug in your controller. Fuck that.
Fuck that.
Cat
You don't have to
Mario
plug in
whenever you want.
Don't plug in your controller for another 28,000 years, buddy. Come on.
Fuck.
Your kids aren't going to have to plug in that controller. You know what I'm saying?
Why are my fingernails falling off? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You don't have to
That's
plug your
not
controller
part
in.
of the aesthetic. No, I think this is cool. I want this.
Yeah,
I want them to do more testing on it.
2
And
years, they say they'll have their first prototype. 2 years.
Wow.
For consumers. This is not like industrial, electric car style. But this is a consumer product prototype in 2 years.
Oh, I'll be dead by then.
Yeah, well, we all will,
But I'm glad that they're trying. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening this week. We appreciate you, you concerned citizens.
You're the best. Thanks for supporting the show too over at patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. It really means a lot to us. It makes the show possible, really.
It makes the show possible. It makes my rent possible. It makes a lot of things possible. So we really do appreciate you all supporting us. And we love everybody who's been joining the community, sharing pictures, sharing stories with each other, hanging out, playing games together. It's been really lovely. If you want to join up, please do feel free. It's patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. And now we'll just stop the recording before my computer resets again. All we got to do is we just stop and then we're good.
Don't antagonize it.